You're watching HFO-TV.
Welcome back to HFO-TV. I'm Aaron Kirk Douglas, Marketing Director. With me today is Mary Beth Christopher, Lead Underwriter at HFO. Today we're going to be talking about how different management styles affect property income. Mary Beth, welcome.
Thank you.
So I assume if I have a property I want to be an income producer, that I don't have to do a lot of fixing it up and I can just collect the rent.
That is a choice some owners can go with. Basically, they would just collect the rents. They don't maybe do a lot of maintenance to the property or try to prevent turnover, so they don't have to expend a lot of money on expenses when it comes to re-renting the units, prepping the units to rent. So maybe you have long-term residents, very little turnover, but your rents may not have increased, but you still are collecting funds.
I have an apartment building and I want to make it as profitable as it can possibly be. What can I do?
There's numerous steps you can do. One thing that I like to see when I'm analyzing properties is turnover. So rather than having a long-term renter who's been there, whose rent is maybe really low, which I understand is some cost savings because you don't have to prep the unit for turnover. The idea is you want unit turnover so you have an opportunity to further increase rents.
Okay. And let's talk about controlling expenses. That sounds like an easier way to improve income.
So that is an option for owners as far as increasing their property value through operations, and that is controlling expenses. One of those is, quite frankly, looking at the operating statements that owners are provided from their management companies, reviewing each line item and questioning, what was this expense for? But also, I typically see when underwriting properties and analyzing them, I see certain expenses all the time that we always question. One of them is, are your property taxes too high?
Mm-hmm.
Have you challenged the taxes or visited the tax rate that you currently are at? Was there something done to the property that might have increased the taxes? Another option is looking at the insurance rate. You should probably check your insurance premiums on every 2 years, every year. Have your insurance agent re-quote every year to make sure you're within a reasonable realm for for insurance values.
Okay. And will HFO look at my statements if I don't really like doing that, or it's I'm just busy and it's not something I like to do?
HFO, that is part of the service that we actually offer, is an asset review. Part of the asset review is I look at historical operations as well as current operations, and I compare them to what the market is expecting to see as far as standard operations for your property type. Those operations may be impacted by the condition of the property, by the vintage, meaning the age, and whether or not you've done any capital improvements, and also whether or not there has been turnover at the property.
Okay. So you spend a lot of time analyzing these kinds of statements that you look at when HFO lists a property, and sometimes when owners want to have that information analyzed for them. What is your background, and can you tell us a little bit about your experience in this area?
So I worked for 15 years in brokerage, looking at properties, positioning them for sale, also looking at their condition and making suggestions to owners for the sale or what they could do to improve rents. Then I also did work for a management company for a short time, and that allowed me to see how properties typically operate. And then also, just from my overall experience working in the industry, there's certain benchmarks that you like to see a property achieve, whether it comes to keeping expenses below a certain point or keeping turnover or rents going in a certain direction, that I apply to most of the properties that I underwrite.
What about maximizing income? What can I do to make that happen?
There are a number of things that can be done at a property to maximize income. One, if a property is professionally managed, definitely recommend a rent survey is done by the management company on a regular basis, either monthly or quarterly, to make sure your rents are meeting the market. Furthermore, of course, as we mentioned, controlling expenses. That will help you produce more income by checking your expenses and double checking operations and making sure they're in line. Also looking at other opportunities to increase income. So, if the property does have pets on site, are they being charged either a monthly pet fee or an annual fee, or on move-in enough to cover damage that they might do? There's other sources of income that properties are applying right now, whether it's for using common area space or also through the utilities, making sure that the utility bill backs are covering increases in the utility costs from the utility services.
Okay. Well, those are some great suggestions. Is that, can owners just give you a call if they want to talk some more about this?
They are more than welcome to.
All right. Mary Beth Christopher, lead underwriter at HFO. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time on HFO-TV.
Thanks for watching HFO-TV. To learn more about HFO, call or visit our website. See new listings, apartment news, videos, and more when you download our apps at the Android and iPhone markets.